consultor de creatividad que ayuda a personas y equipos a ser más prolíficos, brillantes y saludables. Se considera a sí mismo un traficante de armas en la revolución creativa del mundo. Demos la bienvenida a Todd Henry.
Hello, my brilliant friends. A few years ago, I made a terrible decision. And that decision was choosing to go into a gift shop. Now, I don't know about you, but I tend to avoid gift shops because I believe they're designed for one purpose, which is to separate me from my money. Which is exactly what happened. Because the moment I walked into the gift shop, I looked up and I saw what I have come to refer to as the perfect t-shirt. This t-shirt changed my life, and I believe it would change your life as well. Would you like to see this perfect t-shirt? Can I show it to you? Okay, it's gonna change your life, I'm warning you. It's called How to Draw Darth Vader, okay? Let me walk you through it step by step. Step one, start with the head and body. How many of you think you could do this? Pretty easy, pretty simple, right? Step two, add a cape. Again, pretty easy, pretty simple, yes. Step three, draw the face, gloves, and boots. I think any of us could do this, right? And finally, step four, add details and some shading finished. I think this is the perfect t-shirt for a few reasons. First of all, it's just funny. It is. But second of all, this is often how we talk about things like creativity, isn't it? If you ask someone how they created a beautiful work of art, they'll say, well, I had an idea, and I just kind of worked really hard, and voila, brilliant work popped out the other side. Who knew it was that easy to do brilliant work? All you have to do is get steps 1, 2, and 3 right. But those of us in the trenches every day, those of us who have to confront uncertainty every day, we know the brilliant work emerges between steps 3 and 4. And it's really the result of a lot of talented, dedicated, driven people doing whatever it takes to produce brilliance. I've spent the last 20 years of my life studying creativity and innovation, but a very specific kind of creativity. Creativity among those who have to go to work every day and solve problems. How many of you solve problems every day as a function of your work? How many of you solve other people's problems every day? Okay, one final question. How many of you had a specific person in mind when I asked that last question? Yeah, that's what we do. As creative professionals, we solve problems. And as we do that, we build a body of work. We build a delta, a change that exists because we existed on this earth. But the unfortunate thing, friends, is that many of us never build the body of work we're capable of building because we get tripped up, because we're not aware of some of the pitfalls that exist in the space between panels 3 and 4. And over time, it's easy for us to slip into a place of mediocrity in our life and in our work. Now, this word mediocrity doesn't mean what I think we often think it means. The word mediocrity in the original language comes from 2 words. The word medius, meaning middle, and the word ocris, meaning rugged mountain. So to be mediocre literally means to stop halfway to your objective, to stop halfway up a rugged mountain, to get halfway to your objective and say, close enough. I'm gonna settle in. Why do so many bright, sharp, talented, dedicated, capable, creative professionals settle medius ocris? Because that body of work that we're building, that delta, that change that we're creating, is actually comprised of a lot of little deltas. Little decisions that we make every single day to be brave in the face of uncertainty. As Gretchen Rubin so eloquently put it, what you do every day matters more than what you do once in a while. What you choose to do every single day, the way that you confront uncertainty with bravery every day, matters more than big efforts of the will. But we have a few enemies that we must confront in order to produce brilliant work. The first enemy is comfort. Comfort. The great poet Khalil Gibran wrote, "Verily, the lust for comfort murders the passion of the soul, and then walks grinning in the funeral." Verily, the lust for comfort murders the passion of the soul, and then walks grinning in the funeral. I believe that the love of comfort is often the enemy of greatness in our lives. Not comfort, there's nothing wrong with comfort as a byproduct of our effort, but when comfort becomes the aim, that's when we get into trouble. And many of us are so comfortable with the way things are, we can't imagine the way things could be. In order to counter comfort in our life, we have to commit to an ethic of growth and innovation, personal growth and innovation. We have to commit to not settling mediocres, to refusing to settle in halfway up the rugged mountain, instead to continue to grow. There are some distinct phases that we go through as we develop as professionals, as we're learning a new skill, as we're developing our voice. The first of those phases is copying. Copying. Many great artists, if you ask them how they developed their ability, they'll tell you, I developed my ability by copying other people. Great artists, great songwriters, great filmmakers will tell you, I learned how to make a film by copying the films of my heroes. I learned how to write songs by copying the songs of my heroes. But at some point, we have to move beyond copying. And the way that we do that is by moving into the next phase, which is innovating. Innovating is when we begin to apply our own unique perspective, our own intuition. We begin to create something new, something different, something fresh. And a beautiful and terrible thing happens. The beautiful thing is this: we become known for a thing. We become known for something, which is beautiful. And it's also terrible. Why is it terrible? Because the moment you're known for something, what happens? Everything in your life becomes about protecting the thing that you're known for. And often, talented people stop growing. They settle in and they continue to do the thing that they're known for, instead of continuing to grow and to develop and to innovate. That's why I call this crisis phase. It's crisis phase because we have to make a decision when we become known for something, a decision about whether we're going to continue to grow, to learn new skills, to move up the curve, or if we're just going to settle into comfort and just stay where we are. So my question for you is, where might you be in these stages? Where might comfort be interrupting your growth? Where might you be settling in instead of moving up the rugged mountain? The second enemy we must confront in order to produce great work is fear. Fear is when the perceived consequences of failure outweigh the perceived benefits of success. So we don't take strategic risk. There's a man named Neil Fury who does research about procrastination. Not that any of us, myself included, struggle with procrastination, but he'll bring people into a room like this and put a wood plank on the floor, 10 feet long, 6 inches wide, and he'll ask the audience, could you walk the length of this plank? And they'll say, well, of course, it's just a wood plank on the floor. Why wouldn't I be able to do that? I have to be drunk not to be able to walk the plank. And he'll say, great. Now imagine I take that wood plank and I suspend it 100 feet in the air between two buildings. Now could you walk the length of that plank? And they'll look at the imaginary plank and they'll look at him and say, no way, are you kidding? I'd have to be drunk to walk a wood plank 100 feet in the air. Well, what's changed about the skill required to walk the plank? Absolutely nothing. If you can do it on the ground, you can do it in the air. What's changed are the perceived consequences of failure, which in this case is falling to your death. So I kind of understand. I do. But I believe many of us go through our days artificially escalating planks, artificially escalating the perceived consequences of failure to the point that we don't act, we don't take strategic risk. You see, fear turns something normal into something terrifying. That's what fear does. And it robs us of our contribution. It robs us of our body of work. We have to discuss true risk to dispel perceived risk. We have to understand the true risk involved, because there's always risk involved in creating, because we're putting our intuition into the world, but we have to discuss true risk and not obey our artificially escalated perception of risk. So my question for you is this: are you artificially escalating planks? Is there any place where you or your team are artificially escalating the perceived consequences of failure? And is it paralyzing you? Is it causing you to settle medias ocris, halfway up the rugged mountain? Why does this matter? Why does it matter if we're brave enough to confront fear and comfort? It matters because you and I, everyone in this room, we each have a unique body of work that we are capable of building. Because of our combination of passion, skills, and experiences, no one else on this planet is capable of building the body of work that you uniquely are capable of building. Only you are capable of changing the world around you in that unique way. And yet so many people never discover their unique body of work, their sweet spot. Why? Because they settle. They listen to the voice of comfort. They listen to the voice of fear in their life, and they refuse to unleash their creative potential. I love how one of my favorite thinkers, Thomas Merton, wrote about this dynamic. He wrote, "There can be an intense egoism in following everyone else. People are in a hurry to magnify themselves by imitating others, imitating what is popular, and too lazy to think of anything better. Hurry ruins saints as well as artists. They want quick success, and they're in such a hurry to get it, they cannot take time to be true to themselves. And when the madness is upon them, they argue that their very haste is a species of integrity." They want quick success, and they're in such a hurry to get it, they cannot take time to be true to themselves. And the net result, friends, is that they rob the world of their unique contribution. That is a price that is too high to pay. 20 years ago, I was in a meeting, and we were discussing a very important project that was going to cost millions of dollars. And I could sense that the person leading the meeting was noticing that we were all very uncomfortable with the conversation. We were a little nervous about the risk that was about to be taken. And so he stopped the meeting and asked a very strange question. He said, "What do you think is the most valuable land in the world?" And we thought, that's a strange question. I don't know. So we start throwing out guesses. The oil fields of the Middle East. Wrong. Manhattan. Wrong. The beautiful coastlines of Mexico. Wrong. So after several guesses, he said, "You're all wrong. You're all wrong." And then, quoting the late Miles Monroe, he said, "I believe the most valuable land in the world is the graveyard. Because in the graveyard are buried all of the unwritten novels, all of the unexecuted ideas, all of the unreconciled relationships, all of the unlaunched businesses, all of the things, the value that people carried with them day after day after day." And they said, tomorrow is the day I'm going to start this. Tomorrow's the day I'm going to introduce that idea. Tomorrow is the day I will put that into the world. And they pushed it into the future until one day, all of their tomorrows ran out. And all of that value was buried with them, dead in the ground, never to be seen by human eyes. That's why it's the most valuable land in the world, because all of that value was buried with them. And that day I went back to my office, and I wrote 2 words on an index card. And I put those 2 words on the wall of my office. And those 2 words were "die empty." Because I want to know when my tomorrows run out, I'm not taking my best work to the grave with me. I've done everything I can every day to confront the uncertainty with bravery, to confront comfort, to confront fear, to choose bravery. Bravery is not a trait, friends. Bravery is a choice that we can make. Creativity demands bravery. So here's my question of you. Will you have the bravery to confront comfort? Will you choose bravely to confront fear, to refuse to allow fear to cause you to artificially escalate the perceived consequences of failure? Will you bravely put your work into the world where it can be of use to others? Because your work is not for you. Your work is for other people. Will you choose to do that, friends? Because I need your body of work, just like you need my body of work. None of us in this room are called to change the world. Every single person in this room is called to change the world around them. And that is done one brave decision at a time. And if you are brave, someday, when your tomorrows run out, you can die empty of regret, but full of satisfaction for a life well lived. I believe that's all any of us can ask for in the end. You've got this, friends. You do. Be brave. Thank you very much.